I think those of us in education reform are guilty of narrowing our focus a little bit too much and focusing purely on academics. And when we take off our ed reform hats and put back on our parenting hats, we are reminded that when we choose schools for our own kids, we're not just looking at test scores, we're looking at the physical environment, we're looking at extracurriculars, we're looking at a lot of things, not just test scores. I don't know that as a parent, I evaluated my daughter's school the way that those of us in reform tend to evaluate the schools like the one I worked in.
As education reformers, I think student achievement, obviously schools are supposed to make sure that students have learned the content and skills they need to succeed at the next grade level or upon graduation and what they're going to do next. So I would say student achievement. Also, they need to provide safe, secure, warm, and caring environments for the kids they serve.
As a parent, when my wife and I were choosing for our girls and we're looking at schools, you want a couple of things. The quality of the academics does matter, and I think there's this idea that no one pays attention to things like test scores and performance. People do pay attention to that, and that stuff matters. But we also wanted a humane, caring environment, and we looked at schools in our community, some of which had higher test scores than the school we ultimately chose, but they were not the kind of humane places that we wanted our kids to be. So you're looking for all those things.
I think what I look for first in a school is a strong leader. It's very hard to get a sense of the caliber of the teaching staff as a whole, but I think you know when you have a good leader, in particular one that you think has a good eye for talent and the ability to lead well, then you can be confident in the sort of quality of the staff at the school as a whole.
I think another key part of education reform is the understanding that parents have different interests, kids have different needs, and so I don't think there should be a one-size-fits-all answer, and we should leave room for schools to specialize, to have other interests, and meet parents in terms of their diverse interests and what schools can do for their kids.
We chose elementary schools they both went to the same elementary school in New York City. It was the only elementary school where I lived in Manhattan where the socioeconomic and racial demographics matched the socioeconomic and racial demographics of the district that we were in. Extremely diverse place. And it was, for us, that was about reality. We wanted our kids to go to school in a realistic setting, one that was safe and where they were going to have access to all the kind of academics that we really wanted from them. It was not a school that tested well. The test scores were not particularly good, but we, sort of scratched below the surface and found something that we liked.
The same things that I want for my kids are the things that I want for kids across DCPS. So I want great educators, I want rigorous academic content, and I want my schools to be places where families are engaged and students are motivated. That's what we looked for when we were selecting schools for our kids.